Facts First presents World's Top, Biggest, and Most Powerful Naval Forces. Which country are you in? When it comes to the biggest naval force in the world, most people believe it's either China, Russia, or the United States who has the biggest. While these countries are all contenders, there are plenty of others that have very strong naval forces. There are even some secrets that you might not know. We've got the world's top, biggest, most powerful naval forces. Which country are you in? Jump down to the comments and let us know. Chinese hackers. In June 2008, it was discovered that Chinese government hackers successfully stole a large amount of data on a contractor who works for the U.S. Navy. Some of the information taken included secret plans of the United States, and this gave the world proof that China may have been responsible for sponsoring cyber attacks. China is also using its own naval force to declare its territory in the East and the South China Sea. Of the 75 countries with large naval forces, Vietnam comes in at 36. They have 65 naval assets with 14 corvettes, 6 submarines, and 25 patrol craft. They also have 8 mine warfare vessels. When it comes to the Navy's budget, Vietnam has set aside about $3.4 billion. Vietnam's People's Navy is given high priority. Chile has the 35th largest naval force. The Navy's history dates back to 1817 when they declared victory at the Battle of Chacabuco. After the wars from freedom in the early 1800s, Chile realized how important naval forces would be for their country. They have 69 Navy assets and their defense budget is $5.5 billion. They also have plenty of protection for their country, which includes 8 frigates, 4 subs, and 23 patrol craft. Of all the navies in the continent of Africa, the Nigerian Navy is the largest, coming in at number 34. Between the members of the Navy and the Coast Guard, there are several thousand members. Before being known as the Nigerian Navy, they were called the Nigerian Marines. Their defense budget is $2.3 billion, and they have 75 naval assets. They also own 93 patrol craft and 4 frigates. At number 33 is the United Arab Emirates. They have the largest naval force in the world. They have an estimated 2,500 members in their navy. They have 75 naval assets, 2 mine warfare vessels, 12 patrol craft, and 2 corvettes. Their total defense budget is over $14.4 billion. The UK's Navy is called the Royal Navy, and they managed to preserve their warships for their battle against France. The Navy dates back to the 16th century, and over time they have stepped up their game. They're now at number 32 on the list. They have a defense budget of $50 billion with 76 naval assets. Their assets consist of 13 frigates, 21 patrol craft, 6 corvettes, 2 aircraft carriers, 13 mine warfare vessels, 6 destroyers, and 10 subs. The Royal Navy is not messing around. The 31st most significant naval force is the state of Qatar Armed Forces. Their maritime force is known as the Qatari Emiri Navy and the Qatari Emiri Naval Forces. Since the country gained its independence from the United Kingdom in 1971, they've started to grow their own naval force. They have 80 naval assets and they have a defense budget of $1.9 billion. At number 30 is Germany. They've set aside $45.2 billion for their naval defense budget. They have a total of 81 naval assets. The Deutsche Marine has 10 frigates, 12 mine warfare vessels, 6 subs, and 5 corvettes. These, combined with the naval assets, gives Germany a very powerful force. Thailand's naval force comes in at number 29. It's called the Royal Thai Navy, or RTN. They've had their own naval force since the late 19th century, and since then they have been growing stronger. Today they have a defense budget of $9.4 billion. The Navy consists of 7 frigates, 7 mine warfare vessels, 7 corvettes, and 32 patrol craft. They also have an aircraft carrier. In all, Thailand has 81 naval assets. At number 28 is Poland. Their Navy holds 12,000 enlisted and commissioned personnel. They've been active since March 24, 1568, and they were used to defend the rivers where goods were traded and exchanged. They have a total defense budget of $9.4 billion and 83 naval assets. Algeria is at number 27. They have a coastline that spans nearly 620 miles, and they work hard to defend it. The Navy has a total of 85 assets and a budget of $10.6 billion. They also have over 30,000 Navy personnel to protect the country against maritime problems. The Navy was initially formed during the Cold War to help the Soviet Union. Taiwan is at number 26, and they have over 38,000 people enlisted in their Navy. Although they are a small country, their defense budget is $10.7 billion, and they hold 87 naval assets. They work hard to defend their small territory, especially against China. They may never be able to beat China, but they're always ready just in case something happens. Bangladesh comes in at 25, and their Navy was formed to protect the maritime territorial area of the country, which makes up about 45,874 square miles. It's their job to defend the country's military and economic interests from any kind of threat. They have a defense budget of $1.6 billion, and they have 89 naval assets. Denmark is at number 24, and the Royal Danish Navy is the marine counterpart of the Danish Defense Forces. They do what they can in the ocean, such as oil spill prevention and recovery, ice-breaking security and surveillance, and search and rescue. They have a total of 90 naval assets with a defense budget of $4.4 billion. The Brazilian Navy is the largest in South and Latin America, coming in at number 23. It's also considered the next largest fleet after the United States. They have 110 naval assets with a defense budget of $29.3 billion. At 22, Greece's naval force is known as the Hellenic Navy. According to their rich history, the maritime force was started during the Greek War of Independence, and they were officially recognized in 1828. Over the years, the naval force has gotten bigger and bigger. Today, they have 115 naval assets. They have a defense budget of $6.5 billion, so they are ready for any maritime emergency. The French Navy, coming in at number 21, is also known as the Marine Nationale, and it is the world's oldest naval force. The Navy started in 1624 and played an essential role in building the French colonial empire. The Navy consists of 6 branches, and in all, they have 118 naval assets. Their defense budget is $40 billion. Even though the Philippines is a small archipelago, it is managed to rank at number 20 on our list. They have over 24,000 personnel, along with the 7,500 members of the Marine Corps. They have 119 naval assets with a defense budget of $3 billion. After being conquered by several countries, they've decided to put a lot of effort into protecting their territory. At number 19 is the Royal Navy of Morocco. They're under the management of the Administration of Defense in Morocco, and today the force is headed by King Mohammed VI. It's their duty to secure the country's exclusive economic zone that spans 81,000 square nautical miles. They have 121 naval assets and a budget of $3.4 billion. Japan's Navy comes in at number 18, known as the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, and it was formed July 1, 1954. Currently, the force consists of 45,800 personnel. They have 143 naval assets with an allotted defense budget of $44 billion. At number 17, Mexico's force is known as the Naval Infantry Corps. They've been active since 1822 and were reorganized in 2007. It's their responsibility to secure and maintain peace at the borders. They have a total of 143 naval assets and a defense budget of $7 billion. The Italian Navy comes in at 16. They were formed in 1946 after World War II. It was first known as Regia Maria and was created March 17, 1861. As of August 2014, there were 30,923 people in the Italian Navy. They have 143 naval assets and a defense budget of $37.7 billion. At number 15, the Myanmar Navy consists of 19,000 Navy personnel. They have proved that they are a force to be reckoned with. Today they have 155 naval assets, including frigates, mine warfare vessels, and corvettes. They have a defense budget of $2.4 billion. The South Korean Navy, previously called the Republic of Korea Navy, comes in at number 14. They were formed November 11, 1945. They are the oldest division of the armed forces of South Korea. South Korea is friendlier than its counterpart North Korea, but they have not taken any maritime chances. They have a total of 166 naval assets and a defense budget of $40 billion. At number 13, the Bolivian Navy has 173 naval assets, with a defense budget of $315 billion. There are 5,000 members in their Navy. Despite the fact that the country was landlocked since 1904 during the War of the Pacific, they were able to develop a river and lake force under the Ministry of National Defense back in 1963, and today they have a strong naval force. At number 12, the Turkish naval forces were formed in 1881 when the first Turkish fleet sailed the Aegean Sea. It wasn't until July 1, 1949 that they became part of the Turkish Naval Forces Command. According to a survey, there are 48,600 people in their navy. They have 194 naval assets with a defense budget of $10.2 billion. Pakistan comes in at number 11, and it makes up about 650 miles of coastline on the Arabian Sea, so they have a powerful naval force to protect it. The Pakistan Navy was established August 14, 1947. They have a total of 197 naval assets and a defense budget of $7 billion. We're now down to our top 10, and you're going to start to see some real force here. At number 10 is the Indonesian Navy, with one of the youngest naval forces in the world. They were established September 10, 1945, and there are 74,000 active-duty personnel. They have a total of 221 naval assets, complete with mine warfare vessels, patrol craft, subs, corvettes, and frigates. They have a defense budget of $6.9 billion. At number 9, the Colombian National Navy, also known as Armada Nacional. Their job is to protect the Colombian border, including the Pacific and Caribbean Oceans. As of September 2013, there was 35,086 personnel. Colombia has a total of 234 naval assets with a budget of $12.1 billion. Number 8. Finland. They have 31,500 Navy personnel. The Finnish Navy has 270 Navy assets with a defense budget of $3.7 billion. Their Navy calls their vessels Finnish Navy ships, and their Rear Admiral Kari Tikkanen is their current Finnish Navy Commander-in-Chief. The Indian Navy comes in at number 7. They are one of the more powerful navies in the world. The Indian Navy can be traced back to 1612. Back then, they acted as the supreme protectors of British merchants shipping in at the time. They have one of the largest naval fleets in the world, with 295 naval assets. They have a total defense budget of a whopping $47 billion. At number 6 is Egypt. They have the largest naval force in Africa and the Middle East. The Egyptian Navy forces protect over 2,000 kilometers of shoreline, and they have 319 naval assets to do it. They have a total defense budget of $4.4 billion. It's probably no surprise to see Russia in the top 5. They have over 37,653 kilometers of coastline to protect. Russia currently has 352 naval assets, and some of them have nuclear potential. They have a budget of $47 billion, and that proves they are serious when it comes to naval defense. At number 4 is Iran, the Navy of the Islamic Republic of Iran Army. It was first established November 5, 1932. They are the first line of defense in the Gulf of Oman, and they have 398 Navy assets to help with the defense. They have a defense budget of $6.3 billion, which is plenty of money to pay for their defense. Most people find it surprising that the United States ranks at number 3, not number 1. That's because we have a total of 415 naval assets, which is actually enough to defeat the number 1 country on our list. The U.S. has a jaw-dropping $647 billion in our defense budget. The U.S. is a force to be reckoned with, but there are 2 countries with more assets and power. Coming in at number 2 is probably a surprise – China. Their Navy is called the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy, and there are over 255,000 active Navy personnel. They have 714 naval assets, which is much higher than the United States. The allotted defense budget is $151 billion, which is much lower than the U.S. budget, but still, you would expect China to be at number 1. Coming in at number 1, North Korea. As frightening as it is, North Korea has the largest naval force in the world. North Korea has a total of 967 naval assets. They spend a large portion of their budget on these assets, leaving them a defense budget of just $7.5 billion. Subscribe for more.